Hi, in this session, we are going to look at urbanization. As you see in this chart, today, Tokyo is the most populous city. However, in 2100, Tokyo is not going to be in the top 10. Lagos, a city in Nigeria, Kinshasa in DRC, and Dar es Salaam in Tanzania will become the most populous cities in the world. And they are all located in Africa. If you look a bit further, Mumbai, Delhi, and Kolkata in India will be on the top 10 most populous cities by then. Dhaka, a capital of Bangladesh, and Karachi, a city in Pakistan, will be also one of the most crowded cities. Cities where nearly 7 out of 10 people will live by 2050 have power to stimulate socio-economic growth. Much of the urbanization will be concentrated in cities of the global south, as you just saw on the chart. Africa and South Asia in particular are going to be at the center of urbanization. Then, what is urbanization? Eileen?
When we are talking about development, a term that should not be overlooked is urbanization. Urbanization is related to the amount of population that lives in urban areas and how it is increasing over time. In more detail, it refers to the migration of people from rural areas to urban areas, or in other words, to a population shift from rural to urban areas. In that context, a gradual increase in the proportion of people who live in urban areas can be observed, which leads to the growth and expansion of cities and towns. The reason for the population moving to urban areas is often connected to the attempt to improve the living conditions, searching for better economic opportunities, and increased access to infrastructure, amenities, and services that might not be available in rural areas. This usually especially occurs when a country is still developing, and prognoses estimate that therefore most urban increase over the next few years will occur in Africa, Latin America, and Asia. The OECD reports that today cities are home to almost half of the global population, and this share is projected to reach 55% by 2050. However, in that context, challenges accompanying the process have to be considered as well. Rapid urbanization in combination with demographic, economic, environmental, and social challenges can lead to a lack of proper housing, growing slums, inadequate and outdated infrastructure, safety and crime problems, pollution and health issues, and many more. Some of those issues have already been observed in cities around the world, considering, for example, the number of slums in Mumbai, the most populated city in India. Additionally, megatrends like climate change, digitalization, and demographic change will keep having an impact on cities, which points out the importance of combining efficient city design with appropriate policies and approaches towards urbanization in order for the growth of cities and urban areas to really turn into opportunities.
Thank you, Eileen. To understand the reason behind fast urbanization in Africa and South Asia, it is important to understand how the cities were established in the beginning. In Africa, early urban settlement began in the 8th century. However, we only have little remains of these early cities because those cities used ephemeral materials. Later, some cities were built as a trade center. For instance, Timbuktu grew a big city with 70,000 people. In East Asia, there were a number of Swahili cities in the 13th century. Later on, the transatlantic slave trade created new big cities in the early 16th century. These cities can be said that they were developed in a more natural manner. On the other hand, Nairobi in Kenya or Lusaka in northern Rhodesia, then which is current Zambia, were created as new colonial cities. Lots of those new colonial cities were built in coastal area. 46 out of 53 colonial capitals were port capital. It's because, first, they were built as a fort towns for defense and later transformed into colonial capital. It has consequences. Because they are located in shore area, these cities are more vulnerable to disasters and climate changes today. And in terms of infrastructure, colonial cities were sites for the processing, transport, and administration, meaning they were not a manufacturing hub or residential hub for the public. And this means the colonial capitals were not made to function as cities with lots of population. Now, let me introduce a case of colonial city, Jakarta. Data and images on the history of Jakarta used in this session is excerpted from Kehu Marsley's Dutch Batavia, exposing the hierarchy of the Dutch colonial city. And this article is published by Journal of Historians of Netherlandish Art. Jakarta has many Dutch-style buildings. In the 1600s, the Dutch East India Company realized that having administrative center in the archipelago would make its trade way more efficient. And they set aside in a centuries-old city, Jakarta. It was a trading center within the archipelago, inhabited by locals as well as Arab, Chinese, Portuguese, and English merchants. With the permission from the local ruler, the Dutch had established a fort in Jakarta. Later, exploiting the political instabilities of the region, the Dutch East India Company took over the city and changed its name to Batavia, an archaic name for the Netherlands. The canals of historic Batavia, used for drainage, transportation, and protection, was typical Dutch-style architecture. And as you must know, canals are still present across the Netherlands today. Canals in the Netherlands function as a means to draining a low countries, much of which lies below sea level. Batavia's Dutch-made canals, however, became less functional over time because of irregular water flow from inland, leading to canals with shallow, stagnant water that are unable to flush the city's sewage into the ocean. The canals smelled terribly. The Dutch builders mistakenly presumed their model would function throughout the world, including Batavia, even though the climates in the Netherlands and Indonesia differs greatly. Fast forward. In 2022, Indonesia's parliament passed a bill to relocate the nation's capital from Jakarta to a remote area in East Kalimantan on the island of Borneo. The background to the Indonesian government's plan to relocate the capital out of Java Island is complex. The most important one would be population density and over-concentration of the national economy. The depletion of water resources and degradation on environment around Jakarta were some of the main reasons as well. Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia, is home to 10 million people and is also the fastest submerging city in the world. Some argue that if no action is taken, part of this metropolis would sink completely into the sea by 2050. While the rise of sea level and climate change is sinking the city, the colonial construction of the city of Batavia, which did not consider the geographical differences, is also part of the reasons for this expensive project of moving a capital. The sheer cost of construction of this new capital is estimated at $32 billion. In this session, we looked at urbanization, and particularly fast urbanization that is taking place in Africa and Asia. We also had a look at shared commonalities of colonial cities, with a case of Jakarta. In the following session, we are going to look at the Korea's contributive diplomacy to address these urban challenges, which are sometimes carried out by cities themselves. Thank you.